Everyone thought the alien woman was useless, but to one human she was a miracle. The alien woman sat alone in the corner of the cafeteria aboard the human ship Celestial Explorer. Her name was Kira, and she belonged to a species called the Lumerians. Her translucent blue skin glowed faintly in the dim light of the mess hall. Her forearms rested on the table unused. Her large almond-shaped eyes stared at nothing. The humans avoided her table. Some whispered. She pretended not to notice. Kira had been rescued from a damaged Lumerian scout vessel 3 months ago. The humans had been kind enough to bring her aboard, but kindness soon turned to frustration. Lumerians were known throughout the galaxy as physically weak beings. Their bodies could not handle heavy labor. Their reflexes were slow by human standards. Most of the crew saw Kira as deadweight, a burden they had to carry until they reached the next diplomatic outpost. Among the humans who kept their distance was Lisa Harper, a communications officer. Lisa had watched the alien woman for weeks now and noticed something the others had missed. When the ship experienced power fluctuations, Kira seemed to react before the alarm sounded. When crew members argued in the hallways, Kira would appear moments before as if she knew trouble was coming. Today Lisa decided to approach her. "Mind if I sit here?" Lisa asked, holding her tray of food. Kira looked up surprised. "No one sits with me." "Well, I am Lisa," said, placing her tray down. "My name is Lisa Harper. I am Kira, third seedling of the Twilight Grove." The alien replied, her voice melodic. "You humans have such short names." Lisa smiled. "We make up for it by being loud. For the first time since coming aboard." Kira made a sound that Lisa recognized as laughter. As they ate, Lisa noticed how Kira would occasionally stop and tilt her head as if listening to something. No one else could hear. "What do you hear?" Lisa finally asked. Kira looked startled. "You notice that hard not to." The alien woman hesitated. "My people hear things others cannot. The spaces between words, the vibrations of machines before they break, the emotions that hover around humans, like clouds." Lisa leaned forward. "You can read emotions, not read." Kira corrected. "Feel, see, sometimes taste. They have colors and textures. Your curiosity right now is bright yellow with soft edges." This explained so much. Lisa realized the crew had assumed Kira was useless because she couldn't lift heavy objects or work long hours. But what if her abilities served a different purpose? The next day, the ship was scheduled to navigate through an asteroid field. Lisa brought Kira to the bridge despite protests from the captain. "Kelly, this is important." Lisa insisted. "Kira can sense things we cannot. She might help us navigate safely." Captain Kelly, a stern woman with gray streaks in her brown hair, looked skeptical. "We have sensors for that, Harper. With all respect, our sensors have limitations." "Kira does not." The captain sighed. "Fine, but she stays out of the way." As the ship entered the asteroid field, Kira stood quietly near the back wall. Her eyes closed. Her forearms extended slightly. Her skin began to glow brighter. "Stop the ship." Kira suddenly said, her voice urgent. Captain Kelly ignored her captain. Lisa said, "I think we should listen." Based on what alien intuition, Kira spoke again, her voice stronger. "There is danger ahead. Something moving fast. Something angry." The sensors showed nothing, but Lisa had learned to trust Kira. "Captain, please." Lisa begged. "Perhaps." It was the desperation in Lisa's voice or something in Kira's stance, but Captain Kelly raised her hand. "Full stop." She ordered. The navigator looked confused but followed the command. The ship came to a halt. 3 seconds later, something massive shot past their bow. A creature unlike anything they'd ever seen. Its body rippled with bioluminescent patterns. Its massive jaws could have easily crushed their hull. "What the hell is that, Captain Kelly?" whispered void swimmer. Kira said simply. "They nest in asteroid fields. They do not appear on sensors because they exist partially in another dimension." The bridge crew stared in shock as more void swimmers appeared, gliding through the asteroids with incredible grace. Had the ship continued on its path they would have flown directly into a nest of the creature's captain. Kelly turned to Kira. How did you know? I felt their hunger, their territorial anger. Kira explained, my people evolved alongside void swimmers. We learned to sense them or die from. That day everything changed. Kira was no longer the useless alien. The captain assigned her to work directly with Lisa, developing a new kind of sensor system, one that combined Lumerian sensory abilities with human technology. Lisa and Kira spent hours together in the lab. Kira would describe what she sensed and Lisa would try to create algorithms that could detect similar patterns. Lisa learned that Kira could sense emotional states across vast distances. She could tell when machinery was about to fail by the change in its energy signature. She could even detect lying by the dissonance it created in a person's speech patterns. One evening as they worked late in the lab, Lisa asked the question that had been bothering her. Why didn't you tell anyone what you could do when you first came aboard? Kira was quiet for a moment. In the past, when other species learned of our abilities, they used us. They turned us into tools, living detectors. My people were enslaved for generations because of what we can do. I needed to know if humans were different. Lisa felt ashamed on behalf of her species. I'm sorry that happened to you. Do not be sorry. Kira said, her hand briefly touching Lisa's. You saw me when others did not. That is a rare gift. As the weeks passed, Kira became an integral part of the ship's operations. Her unique abilities helped the crew avoid dangerous space anomalies, detect mechanical failures before they happened, and even navigate diplomatic encounters with other alien species. She could sense the intentions behind words, feelings that were hidden. Humans were often surprised by how transparent they were to Kira. The crew who had once avoided her now sought her company. Many asked her about her homeworld, about Lumerian culture. She told them of the Twilight Grove where she was born, a forest of bioluminescent trees that sang with the wind. She told them of Lumerian cities built not of metal and concrete, but of living materials that grew and adapted. She told them of her people who valued perception and understanding above all else. Lisa and Kira grew closer, their friendship deepening into something neither had words for one night. As they sat in the observation deck watching stars streak by, Kira turned to Lisa, her skin pulsing with gentle blue light. Your species values strength above all else, she said. You build mighty ships, you conquer harsh environments, you survive where others cannot, but you miss so much. The subtle currents, the small changes, that signal greater ones. Lisa nodded. We have much to learn from each other. Yes, Kira agreed. I have never met a species so contradictory. You can be so blind yet see so much. You can be so cruel, yet show such kindness. You fear what is different yet. You welcomed me. Not everyone welcomed you. Lisa reminded her. You did. That was enough. Captain Kelly appeared at the entrance to the observation deck. Her face was grim. I need you both on the bridge. Now they followed her without question, the mood on. The bridge was tense. The main screen showed a distant planet surrounded by ships. What's happening? Lisa asked. We're receiving a distress call from Colony Orion. Captain Kelly said, it's a farming colony. Mostly families. Kira moved closer to the screen, her eyes fixed on the planet. Her skin began to pulse with an angry red glow. There is fear there, she whispered. So much fear. Can you tell what's happening? The captain asked. Kira closed her eyes. They are under attack. The colonists. They hide, they run. Captain, Kelly turned to her communications officer. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them Colony Orion is under attack. We need reinforcements. Lisa studied the sensor readings. The attacking ships were unlike anything in their database. Their design was organic, almost insectoid. Who are they? She asked. Kira opened her eyes. Their hunger is familiar, their rage, their territorial instinct. Captain Kelly looked at her. What are you saying? Void swimmers, Kira said, but not like the ones we saw. Those were animals. These are something else, something evolved, something intelligent. The implication stunned everyone on the bridge. Void swimmers were dangerous enough as animals. As an intelligent species with technology, we can't wait for reinforcements. Lisa said. Those colonists need help. Now Captain Kelly nodded grimly, agreed, but we're a research vessel, not a warship. I might be able to help, Kira said softly. Everyone turned to her. In the past, my people communicated with void swimmers. We understood them. They understood us. It was not always war between us. Lisa saw where Kira was going. But that was before they evolved, before they built ships, yes. Kira agreed. But the connection might still be there. The understanding. The language is in my blood, in my genes, can you? Try to communicate with them, Captain Kelly asked. I can try, Kira said. But I will need to be closer. Much closer. The captain considered this minimum safe distance. The communications cannot happen from a safe distance. Kira explained, I must be near enough to feel their minds, their intentions. That puts the ship at risk. I know, Kira said. But those colonists are already at risk. Their fear. I can feel it even now. It burns like fire, Captain. Kelly looked around at her crew. They nodded their agreement set. Course for Colony Orion, she ordered maximum speed tactical alert. All hands to battle stations, as the Celestial Explorer raced toward the colony. Lisa helped Kira prepare. She had never seen the alien woman so focused, so intense. Are you sure about this? Lisa asked. No, Kira admitted, I am not sure, but I must try. My people hid our abilities for generations out of fear. We let others believe we were weak, useless. It kept us safe. But everyone thought the alien woman was useless, but to one human, she was a miracle. Kira stood at the front of the bridge, her skin glowing with intense blue light. The Celestial Explorer moved closer to the void swimmer ship surrounding Colony Orion. The crew watched in tense silence as the alien woman stretched out her forearms and closed her eyes. I am reaching out to them, Kira said, her voice strained. They feel my presence. They are curious. Captain Kelly kept her eyes on the tactical display. The void swimmer ships had not yet reacted to their presence, but that could change at any moment. What are you telling them? She asked. That we mean no harm, Kira replied. That this world belongs to neither of us. That the humans here wish only to live in peace. Lisa watched the alien woman with concern. Kira's skin was now pulsing with multiple colors. Blue faded to green, then flashed with streaks of orange. Her body trembled with effort. They are responding, Kira whispered. They speak in emotions, in sensations. It is difficult to translate. Take your time, Captain Kelly said. We have to get this right. Kira nodded, her head tilting as if listening to distant music. They show me images of their home. Their original home before they evolved. Before they built ships. A place between dimensions where light and dark blend. They were driven from it. By what Lisa asked. By something they fear greatly. Kira answered. Something that devours worlds. They fled. They have been fleeing for generations, seeking a new home. They saw this planet and thought it empty of sentient life. They do not recognize humans as intelligent beings. That explains why they attacked. Lisa realized. They think the colonists are just animals. Yes. Kira confirmed, I am showing them images of human civilization. Human achievements. I am trying to make them understand. Minutes passed in silence. Kira remained motionless except for occasional tremors that ran through her slender frame. Lisa wanted to go to her to offer support, but knew she could not interrupt. Something is happening, Kira suddenly said. They are withdrawing on the tactical display. The void swimmer ships began to move, pulling back from the colony in a synchronized movement. Did it work? Captain Kelly asked. Did they understand? Not exactly, Kira said, opening her eyes. They still do not believe humans are truly sentient, but they respect my people. They know Lumarians. They remember us from before. They will leave this colony. If what Lisa prompted, if I go with them, the bridge fell silent. Captain Kelly frowned. What do you mean? Go with them. They want a representative. Kira explained. Someone who can teach them about this dimension, about the species that live here. They are lost, confused. Their evolution into intelligence happened quickly. Too quickly. They need guidance. Lisa stepped forward. No. You can't go with them. We know nothing about them. They could hurt you. I do not believe they will. Kira said gently. They could have destroyed this ship at any moment, yet they held back out of curiosity. They want to learn. Captain Kelly shook her head. This is not a diplomatic mission. I cannot authorize a crew member to. I am not truly a crew member. Captain Kira interrupted. I am a rescued refugee, and this may be the only way to save those colonists. But Lisa began. Kira turned to her. I must do this, Lisa. For the colonists. For my people, for yours. The void swimmers are powerful. They exist in multiple dimensions. Their technology is unlike anything humans have encountered. If they decided to wage war, she did not need to finish the thought. Everyone on the bridge understood the implications. Captain Kelly sighed heavily. How long would you be gone? I do not know. Kira admitted. But I would try to establish communication. Protocols, a way for our ships to talk to theirs, a way to prevent further misunderstandings. It sounds like a suicide mission. Lisa said, her voice breaking. Perhaps Kira acknowledged. Or perhaps it is what my people were always meant to do. We sense what others cannot. We understand what others miss. Maybe our purpose was never to build or to fight, but to bridge. To connect, Captain. Kelly looked at the tactical display. The void swimmer ships were still withdrawing, but they had not left the system. She made her decision. If you truly believe this is necessary, I won't stop you, but I want communication protocols established before you leave. I want regular updates. And the first sign of danger. I want you back on this ship. Kira nodded. I understand. The next hours were a flurry of activity. Lisa worked with Kira to establish a communication system. The void swimmers had agreed to accept a small probe that would serve as a relay, allowing Kira to send messages back to the Celestial Explorer. As they prepared to say goodbye, Lisa found herself unable to speak. There were too many words, too many feelings. Kira smiled softly, her skin glowing with gentle pink light. Your emotions are a storm. Lisa Harper. Blue grief, yellow fear, green hope, all swirling together. You can feel all that Lisa managed, and more. Kira said. Your friendship has been the greatest gift I could have received aboard this ship. You saw me when others did not. You gave me purpose when I had none. I can't lose you. Lisa whispered. You will not. Kira assured her. I will return. When I have helped the void swimmers understand this dimension. When I have shown them that humans are not enemies, but potential allies. Lisa reached out hesitantly and took one of Kira's hands. It felt cool and smooth like polished stone. Promise me, she said. I promise. Kira replied. The shuttle bay was crowded with crew members, all coming to see Kira off. Many who had once ignored her now approached with gifts, with words of encouragement. Captain Kelly presented her with a small device. It's an emergency beacon, she explained. If you activate it, will come for you, no matter where you are. No matter what stands in our way. Kira accepted it with a graceful nod of her head. I am honored by your trust, Captain. Kelly. The void swimmers had sent a small craft to collect her. It waited outside the ship, its organic hull pulsing with patterns of light that seemed to speak in a language only Kira could understand. As she prepared to board the alien craft, Kira turned to address the assembled crew. My people have a saying, she told them. The universe speaks in many voices but says one thing. We are not alone. Remember this when you look to the stars. When you encounter beings different from yourselves. We are all connected. All part of the same cosmic tapestry. I will carry the memory of this ship and its crew with me, and I will teach the void swimmers that humans are worthy of respect. With those words, she entered the craft. The doors sealed behind her, and the ship pulled away from the Celestial Explorer. its hull rippling like living tissue as it rejoined the larger void swimmer fleet. Lisa watched from the observation deck as the fleet moved away from Colony Orion. The ships accelerated, then disappeared into what appeared to be tears in the fabric of space, the void between dimensions. Their natural home, Captain Kelly, stood beside her. She's gone. For now, Lisa corrected. For now, in the days that followed, the Celestial Explorer remained at Colony Orion, helping the settlers recover from the void swimmer attacks. There had been casualties, but far fewer than there might have been. The colonists were grateful for the ship's intervention, though few understood the sacrifice that had made their salvation possible. Lisa found herself unable to sleep. She spent her nights in the communications lab, monitoring the relay probe, waiting for any signal from Kira. 1 week passed, then 2, a month. Captain Kelly appeared one evening bearing 2 cups of coffee. "We have orders from Earth Command," she said. "We're to return to base for debriefing." Lisa nodded numbly, accepting the coffee. "What about the probe?" "Well, leave it in orbit," Kelly promised. "Well, monitor its signals remotely." "And at the first word from her, we'll come back, but when will that be?" Lisa asked. Her voice sounded hollow even to her own ears. Kelly placed a hand on her shoulder. "I don't know, but I do know that if anyone can survive among those creatures, it's Kira." Lisa managed a small smile. "That's true, she always saw things differently, even from the beginning." The captain nodded thoughtfully. "You know, before all this happened, I thought Lumarians were useless in space, just dead weight. Fragile beings with no real purpose. They all did," Lisa said, "all except me." And now Kelly continued. "Now I wonder how many other species we've misunderstood. How many abilities we've overlooked because they didn't fit our definition of useful." The communication console suddenly lit up with activity. Lisa nearly spilled her coffee in her haste to reach it. "It's the probe," she exclaimed. "It's receiving something." Kelly joined her at the console, their eyes fixed on the screen as data began to stream in. It was not words, not exactly, more like impressions, images, feelings. "What does it say?" Kelly asked. Lisa studied the patterns, her mind racing back to all the hours she'd spent with Kira, learning to interpret Lumarian sensory language. "They're safe," she translated. "They travel through the void. The void swimmers are learning human language, human customs." She says, her voice broke. "She says she misses us." Kelly smiled. "That sounds like a success to me." "Yes." Lisa agreed, wiping away tears. "It does." The transmission continued, more images, more sensations. Lisa worked through the night translating what she could. Kira had made progress with the void swimmers. They were beginning to understand the concept of diplomacy of coexistence. Their fear was lessening, replaced by curiosity. In her final transmission, Kira sent an image that took Lisa's breath away. It showed the void swimmer fleet approaching a massive space station. Unlike their organic ships, this structure was clearly built by a different species. It was Lumarian. There are more of her people out there. Lisa realized they've been working with the void swimmers all along. Captain Kelly studied the image. "This changes everything, doesn't it?" Everyone thought the alien woman was useless, but to one human she was a miracle. 6 months passed since Kira had left with the void swimmers. The Celestial Explorer had returned to Earth, its crew celebrated as heroes for preventing a potential interspecies war. Lisa Harper had been promoted to Chief Communications Specialist, with a focus on xenolinguistics. Her work with Kira had opened new pathways in understanding alien communication methods. But despite her professional success, Lisa felt incomplete. The crystal Kira had given her remained warm, pulsing with gentle light, a constant reminder of the alien woman who had changed everything. Occasionally, Lisa would receive fragments of sensations through the crystal, glimpses of strange worlds, flashes of emotions not her own. She knew Kira was alive out there somewhere among the stars. Captain Kelly. Now Admiral Kelly had not forgotten her promise. Regular probes monitored the relay left at Colony Orion, but after 6 months of silence, even she was beginning to lose hope. Lisa sat in her apartment in the United Earth Defense Headquarters complex in Geneva, staring out at the night sky. The crystal pulsed in her palm, casting blue shadows across her face. "Where are you?" she whispered. Her communication console chimed. She ignored it, preferring her solitude, but it chimed again more insistently. This time a voice accompanied it. "Communications Specialist Harper. This is Admiral Kelly. Respond immediately." Lisa sighed and activated the console. Admiral's face appeared on the screen, her expression unreadable. "Harper, get to the command center." "Now," Kelly said. "We just received a signal." Lisa did not need to ask what kind of signal. She was already moving, grabbing her uniform jacket. Heart pounding, she raced through the quiet hallways of the complex. It was midnight local time, but the command center never slept. Admiral Kelly was waiting for her, along with several high-ranking officers and scientists. Their faces were grave. "What is it?" Lisa asked, breathlessly. "What did she say?" Kelly gestured to the main screen. It displayed a series of pulsing patterns, colors shifting in hypnotic waves. "It's not just Kira," Kelly explained. "The signal came through the relay at Colony Orion, but it's massive, much bigger than anything we've received before." One of the scientists, a neurologist named Dr. Patty Wu, stepped forward. "We believe it's a combined transmission from multiple Lumerians," she said. "Perhaps hundreds of them." Lisa stared at the screen, her mind racing to interpret the complex patterns. The crystal in her pocket grew warmer, seeming to resonate with the transmission. "They're coming," she said suddenly. "They're all coming here." The officers exchanged worried glances. Admiral Kelly frowned. "What? Do you mean here to Earth? Not just Earth." Lisa explained, "To this system, to our space." She could feel it now. The message was clear. The Lumerians were returning from wherever they had been hiding, and they were bringing the void swimmers with them. "It an invasion?" Kelly asked, her voice tense. Lisa closed her eyes, concentrating on the patterns. "No," she said after a moment. "It's a delegation, a diplomatic mission. They want to establish formal contact, Doctor." Wu looked skeptical. "How can you be so sure?" "Because I know her," Lisa said simply. "I know how she thinks. And this." She pointed to a particular pattern in the transmission. "This is her signature, her unique sensory impression." Admiral Kelly studied Lisa for a long moment, then nodded. "We need to prepare," she said, turning to her officers. "I want the diplomatic corps notified. I want the defense fleet on standby." "Protocol," Lisa frowned. "The defensive fleet. That seems like an aggressive response to a diplomatic overture." Kelly met her gaze steadily. "Trust goes both ways, Harper. They sent one representative to us, now they're coming in force with allies we've already seen attack a human colony. I want to be prepared for all possibilities." Lisa could not argue with the Admiral's logic, but something felt wrong. The transmission did not contain any hint of aggression, only excitement, anticipation. One of the officers, a tactical specialist named Beth Summers, looked up from her console. "The Void Swimmer fleet has been detected at the edge of the solar system," she reported. "They will reach Earth orbit in approximately 3 days. 3 days, Admiral Kelly repeated. "That gives us some time. Specialist Harper, I want you working with the diplomatic corps. Prepare them for this meeting. You know more about Lumerian culture and communication than anyone." Lisa nodded. "I'll do my best, Admiral." The next 3 days were a blur of activity. Lisa barely slept, working around the clock to brief diplomats, scientists, military officers, anyone who would be involved in the first official contact with the Lumerian delegation. She explained Kira's abilities, the Lumerian sensory perception, their history of enslavement by other species. The crystal Kira had given her never left her possession, growing warmer, brighter. As the fleet approached on the morning of the 3rd day, Lisa stood on the observation platform of the orbital defense station. Sentinel-1 Earth hung below them, a blue marble wrapped in clouds. The Void Swimmer fleet had arrived, hundreds of organic ships pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. They made no aggressive moves, simply holding position at a respectful distance. Admiral Kelly stood beside Lisa, along with the United Earth President Amaya Rodriguez and various diplomatic officials. "They're waiting," the president said softly. For what? For us to invite them. Lisa replied. They won't come closer without permission. It's a sign of respect. President Rodriguez looked at Admiral Kelly, who nodded. The president stepped forward and spoke clearly. Open. A channel to the lead vessel. When communication was established, the president spoke with dignity. As the representative of United Earth, I extend a formal welcome to the Lumerian delegation and their void swimmer allies. We invite you to send representatives to continue our diplomatic discussions. For a moment, nothing happened. Then one of the vessels detached from the fleet. It was smaller than the others, its hull rippling with patterns of blue and green. As it approached the station, Lisa felt the crystal in her pocket grow almost hot. It's her, Lisa whispered. She's coming. The void swimmer vessel docked with the station in a specially designed bay large enough to accommodate its organic structure. A delegation of human officials, including Lisa, Admiral Kelly, and President Rodriguez, waited to greet the arrivals. The docking bay doors opened and a group of beings emerged. The first were clearly Lumerians, their translucent skin glowing with various colors, their forearms moving with fluid grace. But among them were stranger creatures, void swimmers in physical form. Their bodies seemed to shift between solid and gaseous states, their edges blurring as if they existed partially in another dimension. And at the front of the delegation, walking with newfound confidence, was a familiar figure. Kira. Lisa breathed. The alien woman had changed. Her skin glowed brighter than before with patterns Lisa had never seen. Her posture was straighter, more assured. But her eyes were the same, large, almond-shaped, filled with wisdom and kindness. When she saw Lisa, she smiled. Greetings, representatives of Earth. Kira said, her voice carrying easily through the docking bay. I return as promised with friends who wish to know you better. President Rodriguez stepped forward. Welcome back to Earth space, Kira. We have much to discuss. Yes, Kira agreed. Much has happened since I left with my void swimmer friends. She gestured to the beings behind her. I have learned that my people, the Lumerians, have been working with the void swimmers for generations. Our histories are intertwined, our futures now shared. She turned to indicate the other Lumerians in the delegation. These are the elders of my kind. They have remained hidden for centuries, watching, learning. They have guided the void swimmers, helped them evolve beyond mere instinct. One of the Lumerian elders stepped forward, its skin a deep purple, its 4 hands clasped in what seemed to be a formal gesture. We have watched your kind for many years, it said, its voice melodic like Kira's but deeper. We feared you at first, your strength, your aggression. But then we saw something unexpected. We saw kindness. The elder turned to look at Lisa, who stood transfixed. Its eyes seemed to peer into her very soul. Saw how this one treated Kira. The elder continued. How she saw value where others saw none, how she befriended rather than used. It gave us hope that perhaps humans could be different from those who enslaved us in the past. President Rodriguez nodded, solemnly. We have much to learn from each other, I believe, and much to offer. The void swimmers moved restlessly behind the Lumerians, their forms shifting, swirling. One of them moved forward, its body condensing into a more solid shape. It made no sound that human ears could detect, but Lisa saw Kira tilt her head, listening. The void swimmers have a request, Kira translated. They seek a home, a place to exist in this dimension. They have been fleeing for too long. They wish to settle. Admiral Kelly stepped forward. There are uninhabited planets in our territory suitable for colonization, she said cautiously. But we would need assurances. They attacked one of our colonies. They did not understand, Kira explained. They saw only territory, not people. But now, they know. Now they wish to make amends. The negotiations continued for hours, moving from the docking bay to conference rooms. Agreements were drafted, terms discussed. The void swimmers would receive rights to settle on several gas giants in human space. In return, they would share their unique dimensional technology, their ability to travel through the void between realities. The Lumerians would serve as intermediaries, teachers, ambassadors. Throughout it all, Lisa could not take her eyes off Kira, the alien woman, spoke with authority, with confidence, so different from the quiet being who had sat alone in the corner of the mess hall all those months ago. Everyone thought the alien woman was useless, but to one human, she was a miracle. 1 year after the historic alliance between humans, Lumerians, and void swimmers, a new era of exploration had begun. The three species worked together, combining their unique abilities and technologies to push further into the unknown reaches of space. The void swimmers' dimensional travel capabilities allowed ships to cross vast distances in moments. The Lumerians' sensory perception detected dangers and opportunities that technology alone could not, and humans provided the drive, the curiosity, the determination to keep moving forward. Lisa Harper now served as the chief liaison between the three species. Her office aboard the massive joint expedition vessel, Harmony, was filled with star charts, alien artifacts, and communication devices from all three cultures. At her desk, she reviewed reports from the latest expedition into what had once been considered impassable space. The crystal Kira had given her sat in, a special holder pulsing with gentle blue light. A soft chime announced a visitor. Lisa looked up to see Kira entering. The Lumerian woman moved with the fluid grace of her species, her translucent skin glowing with patterns of blue and green datim. Forearms carried various data tablets. The void swimmers have located another dimensional pocket, Kira announced. They believe it may contain a stable wormhole. Lisa raised her eyebrows. That would be the third one this month. Your friends are getting good at this, Kira smiled. They are not just my friends now. They are allies to all of us. She set down the tablets and moved to the large window that looked out into space, where the void swimmers drifted like living constellations among the stars. Still amazes me, Lisa said, joining her. How far we've come in such a short time. Kira tilted her head, her skin shifting to a contemplative purple. When species truly work together, share their strengths, instead of exploiting weaknesses, much is possible. Lisa nodded, remembering the lonely alien who had sat in the corner of the Celestial Explorer's mess hall. Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this? When you were first rescued? Kira was quiet for a moment. No, she admitted. I expected to be dropped, at a diplomatic outpost forgotten. I never expected to find humans willing to see beyond appearances, to value what I could offer. Admiral Kelly had once thought Lumerians were useless. Lisa remembered, and now the Admiral leads joint fleet missions, with Lumerian navigators. Evolution of thought, Kira said, is the most powerful force in the universe. Their conversation was interrupted by another chime. This time it was Beth Summers, now Captain Summers, of the human contingent. Sorry to interrupt, she said, but we've received a strange transmission from the void. It's coded in old Lumerian sensory patterns. The elders are having trouble interpreting it. They requested your presence. Kira frowned. Old patterns, that is unusual. The three of them made their way to the ship's communication center, where several Lumerian elders stood around a central console, their skin flickering with concerned patterns. A holographic display showed waves of color and light shifting in complex patterns. Kira approached, the display, her head tilting as she studied it. Her skin began to match the patterns, responding instinctively. This is ancient, she said after a moment. This predates our modern communication methods. It comes from... She stopped, her forearms suddenly, rigid with tension. What is it? Lisa asked, sensing her friend's distress. The Devourers. Kira whispered. The Lumerian elders shifted nervously, their skin pulsing with alarmed patterns. One of them, a venerable being named Vala, spoke. We had hoped they were gone, she said. Or that the stories were just that. Stories. Captain Summers looked between them. Who are the Devourers? Kira turned, her expression grave. Ancient enemies of the void swimmers. She explained the reason they fled their original dimension. The reason they evolved from simple creatures to intelligent beings out of necessity. Lisa felt a chill run through her. You never mentioned them before. There was no need. Kira said they were believed extinct, or at least lost in dimensions far from ours. But this message, She gestured to the pulsing patterns. This suggests otherwise. What does it say? Lisa asked. Kira focused on the transmission again. I cannot translate it precisely, she said. The language is too old, too different, but the essence is clear. They hunt, they pursue. They hunger. Admiral Kelly joined them, having been alerted to the situation. Her face was stern as always, but Lisa could see concern in her eyes. Are they a threat to our alliance? She asked directly. Vala, the elder Lumerian, nodded. They are a threat to all life, she said. They do not negotiate, they do not compromise, they consume, they absorb. They take what they want from every species, every civilization they encounter. Then move on. Captain. Summers frowned. How do we fight? Them? We do not, Kira said simply. They exist across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Our weapons would be useless against them. Then what do we do? Lisa asked. Kira exchanged glances with the Lumerian elders. The void swimmers have been running from them for generations, she said. Perhaps it is time to stop running. The message was clear. The three allied species needed to prepare not for exploration, but for defense against an enemy that existed beyond normal understanding, beyond normal reality. The days that followed, ships were recalled from exploration missions. Defense systems were reviewed and found lacking. How does one defend against a multi-dimensional threat? Scientists and strategists from all three species worked around the clock, seeking solutions. Lisa found Kira in the observation lounge late one night. The alien woman stood alone, staring out at the void. Her skin pulsed with dark blues and purples, emotions Lisa had learned to recognize as concern. Fear, even, you knew about. Them all along, didn't you? Lisa said softly. Not just from legends, but from experience. Kira did not turn, but her skin flickered, acknowledging Lisa's presence. Yes, she admitted. My people encountered the Devourers long ago. Before we developed our sensory abilities, before we understood what we were seeing, they took so many of us, absorbed our knowledge, our essence, our very being. Lisa moved closer. Why didn't you tell us? Kira finally turned, her large eyes reflecting the starlight. What would you have done with such knowledge? Fear an enemy you cannot see, cannot fight. I hoped they had forgotten us. I hoped the void swimmers had fled far enough that our alliance would have time to grow strong before they found us. Lisa finished. Kira nodded. The void swimmers are sensitive to dimensional disturbances, she explained. They felt the Devourers approaching months ago. That is why they have been searching so diligently for stable wormholes. They hoped to find escape routes, so they were planning to run again, Lisa realized. To abandon our alliance, Kira shook her head. No. They were searching for safe passages for all of us. They have grown beyond their fear. They wanted to protect their new allies. Admiral Kelly called an emergency council meeting. Representatives from all three species gathered in the Harmonies Conference Center. The mood was tense but determined. We have three options. Kelly began, her voice steady. We run, using the Void Swimmer's dimensional technology to flee to a new region of space. The Void Swimmer, representative of being named Nexus, its form constantly shifting, made a sound like rushing wind. Kira translated. They say they are tired of running. They have found a home among us. They wish to defend it. Kelly nodded. Option 2. We attempt to negotiate, though the Lumerians tell us this is unlikely to succeed. The Lumerian elder Vala spoke, her voice musical but firm. The Devourers do not negotiate. They take, they consume. They learn from those they absorb, then use that knowledge to find new prey. And option 3. Captain Summers asked, we fight. Kelly said simply, using everything we have, everything we know, everything we are. Lisa looked around the table at the representatives of three species, once separate, now united. Humans with their determination and ingenuity, void swimmers with their dimensional abilities, Lumerians with their perception, their understanding. We don't know enough about them, Lisa said. We need intelligence. We need to understand how they think, how they move, how they fight. Kira turned to her, skin brightening. That is what my people do best. We understand what others cannot. A plan began to form. The Void Swimmers would use their dimensional technology to create sensor arrays capable of detecting. The Devourers approach Lumerian observers would staff these arrays using their unique sensory abilities to interpret what the technology alone could not. Human tacticians would develop defense strategies based on the intelligence gathered. It was not perfect, it was not certain. But it was a beginning as the council meeting ended. Lisa and Kira walked together through the ship's corridors. "Do you think it will be enough?" Lisa asked. Kira was silent for a moment, her skin shifting through thoughtful patterns. "I do not know," she admitted. "But I know this, we are stronger together than we ever were apart." They stopped at a viewport looking out at the stars beyond them somewhere in the void between dimensions. An ancient enemy approached. But they would face it together. In the days that followed, the Alliance prepared joint training exercises were conducted. New technologies were developed. The Lumerians shared secrets they had kept hidden for generations. The Void Swimmers revealed dimensional concepts that human scientists struggled to comprehend, and humans brought their endless creativity, their stubborn refusal to accept defeat. Everyone thought the alien woman was useless, but to one human, she was a miracle. 5 years passed since the Devourer encounter. The alliance of humans, Lumerians, Void Swimmers, and now cautiously the Devourers themselves had transformed the galaxy. The dimensional barriers that had once separated species, civilizations, even realities, were now bridges of understanding. Exploration flourished as ships equipped with Void Swimmer technology and guided by Lumerian sensory navigators pushed further into the unknown. Lisa Harper now served as Ambassador Harper, representing humanity in the Alliance Council. She had witnessed the transformation firsthand, from the lonely alien woman in the corner of a mess hall to the diplomatic revelation that had changed everything. But despite her new responsibilities, Lisa never forgot where it all began. The moment she sat down across from Kira and saw what everyone else had missed. Today she stood in the observation dome of Unity Station, a massive structure that existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions, a physical manifestation of the Alliance itself. Representatives from all 4 species moved through its corridors, its chambers, working, learning, growing together. Ambassador Kira approached, her skin glowing with the soft blue light that Lisa had come to associate with contentment. Her forearms moved in the formal greeting of her people, but her eyes held the warmth of long friendship. The council session went well. She observed Lisa, nodded. The new exploration initiative passed unanimously. 4 joint expedition fleets will launch next month. Kira smiled. It is still strange to me, sometimes, to see Void Swimmers and Devourers working side by side, planning together, creating together. Who would have thought? Lisa agreed, looking at the distant stars visible through the dome's transparent ceiling. The galaxy feels smaller now, yet somehow bigger too. More connected, Kira said. More understood. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the dimensional shifts that rippled through space, visible now thanks to the perceptual enhancements developed by Lumerian scientists for their allied species. After a moment, Kira spoke again, her voice softer. "Do you remember when we first met? How could I forget?" Lisa said with a smile. "You were the alien everyone thought was useless." Kira tilted her head, her skin rippling with amused patterns. "And you were the human who saw differently." They had had this conversation many times over the years, but it never lost its meaning, its power. A reminder of how much had changed. Because one person had chosen to see value where others saw none. A young human woman approached them nervously. She wore the uniform of the Alliance Academy, the training center for the next generation of explorers, diplomats, scientists. "Ambassador Harper, Ambassador Kira," she said with a formal bow. "I am Cadet Samantha Wilson. I have been assigned to shadow you both for my diplomatic training." Lisa smiled at the young woman. "Welcome to Unity Station, Cadet Wilson. Your timing is perfect. We were just discussing the early days of the Alliance." The cadet's eyes widened. "Is it true, Ambassador Kira, that you single-handedly prevented war with the Void Swimmers?" Kira laughed, a melodic sound. Nothing is ever accomplished single-handedly. Cadet, she said. 4 hands are better than 2, and many hands working together are better still. But you did save Colony Orion. The cadet insisted. You did establish first contact with the Void Swimmers. That part is true, Lisa acknowledged. But it wasn't heroics that saved us. It was understanding, perception, seeing what others missed. Kira nodded, her skin shifting to a thoughtful purple. That is the lesson. I hope you will learn. Cadet strength comes in many forms. Technology weapons, these have their place, but true power, true change comes from connection, from seeing value in difference. The cadet looked confused. I don't understand. Kira gestured around them, at the various species moving through, the station Lumarians with their translucent skin and 4 arms, void swimmers with their shifting, partially dimensional forms, humans with their diverse appearances, the occasional devourer moving like living shadows through reality itself. At them she said, "What do you see, aliens?" The cadet replied, then quickly corrected herself. "I mean other species." Kira smiled. "Look deeper." "What else?" The cadet hesitated. "They're all different from each other." "From us, yes," Kira agreed, and the cadet studied the beings around them more carefully. "They all have different abilities," she said slowly. "Different strengths, different ways of seeing the universe. Now you begin to understand." Kira said softly, "The Alliance works not because we are the same, but because we are different, because we each bring something unique, something the others lack." Lisa watched the young cadet process this information. Seeing the moment, understanding dawned in her eyes. It was the same revelation Lisa herself had experienced years ago aboard the Celestial Explorer. "Come, Cadet Wilson," Lisa said, "there is someone I want you to meet." She led the young woman and Kira through the station's corridors to a special chamber. At its center stood a being unlike any other. Its form shifted, constantly between solid and energy, matter and light. It was a devourer elder, one of the first to establish peaceful contact. Ambassador Harper, the being acknowledged its voice, resonating not through air, but directly in their minds. "And Ambassador, Kira, you bring a new one. This is Cadet Wilson," Lisa explained. "She is learning about the Alliance, about how it began." The devourer shifted its attention to the young human. "We were enemies once." It said we were alone, isolated by our nature, our abilities. We thought absorption was the only way to know, to understand. Others feared us, fled from us. And now, Kira prompted, now we learn together. The devourer said we exist together. We understand without consuming. We connect without destroying. And we are stronger for it. We are more. The cadet stood transfixed, clearly, both terrified and fascinated. How she managed to ask, "How did this change happen?" The devourer shifted its form, colors rippling through its essence in patterns reminiscent of Lumarian emotional displays. It began with one. It said one who was willing to reach across the void, one who was willing to see differently, one who was willing to risk everything for understanding. Its attention shifted to Kira, one who was thought useless by her companions, but who carried the greatest power of all, the power to bridge worlds, minds, hearts. The cadet looked at Kira with new eyes. "You," she whispered. "You did this." Kira shook her head, her skin glowing with humble patterns. "Not alone," she said. "Never alone." She looked at Lisa with affection. "I had someone who saw me first, someone who believed," as they left the devourer's chamber. The cadet was quiet, processing what she had learned. Finally, she spoke. "They told us at the academy that the Alliance began with a diplomatic breakthrough," she said. "But they never explained that it started with just 2 people. Just a simple act of one person sitting down with another. The simplest acts often have the greatest consequences." Kira said. Lisa nodded. "I just wanted to know why she tilted her head that way," she admitted with a smile. "Why she seemed to hear things no one else could. I was curious." Nothing more, but curiosity led to understanding, the cadet said. And understanding led to connection. Connection changed everything, Kira finished. Later that evening, Lisa and Kira stood together on one of the station's observation platforms. The dimensional barriers were particularly active that night, creating auroras of possibility across the stars tomorrow. The first group of human cadets will begin sensory training with Lumerian teachers, Lisa said. And Void Swimmer navigators will start teaching dimensional perception to human pilots. The barriers continue to fall. Kira observed her skin glowing with satisfaction, not just between dimensions. Lisa said, between peoples, between minds. Kira turned to her oldest human friend. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't sat down at my table that day? If you hadn't noticed what I could do? Lisa smiled. Every day, she admitted. But I'm glad I did as am. Kira said, her four hands making a gesture of profound gratitude. You saw me, Lisa Harper, when no one else would look. You heard me when no one else would listen. You were my miracle. Lisa shook her head. You were the miracle, Kira. What you could do, what you could sense. The way you changed everything. Perhaps, Kira said thoughtfully, her skin shifting through philosophical patterns. Perhaps the true miracle was neither of us alone, but what happened when we connected, when we bridged our differences, when we saw value in each other. Beyond the viewport, a new ship prepared to depart. Its hull bore the emblems of all four allied species. Its crew represented the best of each. Its mission, to push further into the unknown, guided by understanding, by perception, by connection. The ship was named Miracle. It's a good name, Lisa said, watching as the vessel engaged its dimensional drive. The stars around it bending as reality shifted. Yes, Kira agreed. A reminder of how the smallest moments can change everything. How seeing differently can transform worlds. The Miracle slipped into dimensional space, vanishing from normal sight. But Lisa knew that Kira could still sense it, still follow its journey with her unique perception that had always been her gift, seeing beyond what others could see, hearing what others missed, feeling connections across the void. The years that followed the Alliance would face new challenges, new species, new realities, but its foundation remained unshakable. The understanding that strength came in many forms, that difference was not weakness, but opportunity, that true power lay not in force, but in connection. And it had all begun because one human had seen value where everyone else saw nothing, because one alien had been given the chance to show what she could do.